Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So what are we dealing with?
Okay, so on Zoom, I can pull my background down and so can you see me? Can you see my picture of New York?
I'm not plugged in. Ken told me that you're having trouble negotiating Zoom. I don't see it, but what if you explain to me what you're trying to do, I can try to help.
Okay, so when when I shoot it to Restream, I can see my background and my face, but then when it Restream sends it back out to Facebook, Ken's Kenneth.Zaire comes up and the radio show, of course, is playing in the background. So, and then when somebody talks, it kicks over to him, and then when it's quiet, it kicks back to me. So what's happening is all the on all the channels that I'm sending to Restream, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, uh, it's you see me, then you see Kenneth Zaire. I mean, it's going back and forth. So I don't know how to tell him to turn his off. He says he doesn't have a button there to turn off his video in Zoom, but I'm sure he does. He just doesn't know where it is.
So you cut out there a little bit. So you're saying that when he talks to you, then the videos cuts over to him,
Yeah,
and it's you're saying it's also taking a video. Uh, it's also taking a video from him, but he's not sending any video because there's no camera associated with him.
but he still has Kenneth.Zaire. So that's being sent out. A picture is being sent out. He says he doesn't know how to do it because he doesn't have a camera. Whether you have a camera or not, you can turn it off, but you have to go down to the bottom and show him where to do it. You know, there's a toolbar down at the bottom, and you can turn off your video. Let me see if I can show it to you.
He just needs to stop this video. Then is what you're saying.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to do it. So
Okay, that's easy enough. Let me
hang on,
let me do this.
I'll show you a picture of the bottom. I'll send this to you, okay?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the stop video, but let me get him here, or I'll try to.
Okay. Okay, you see that picture?
All right, so I just called Ken, and the option to start the video isn't even available because there's no camera hooked up. So he can't stop it because it's not even initiated.
Well, that's
So
because he doesn't know where to look.
I just went over with him, and he is looking at the right thing.
Oh, he
There
is?
isn't Yeah, there isn't even a camera that's hooked up to that machine, so there's not even the ability for him to like the button to start the video is X'd out. So it's like he can't even initiate it. So it's weird because when he starts talking on all your other stuff, what's happening is um it's overtaking the rest of the screen, and that's what you want to avoid.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's something in the system that you can turn off there. And I mean, if I could have a picture of what he's got, maybe I could help him. Maybe he can take is he using a computer or is
Yeah,
this
it's a desktop. Yeah, it's a desktop machine.
it's a desktop machine? All right, well, there's a way to turn the video off in that, but I'd have to be there to go through it and figure.
The video is definitely off. Like the video is definitely off because it's not even there's not even a way to activate it.
No, no,
So
that's even though you don't have a camera, doesn't mean the video's not off. I mean, I know that because I can see unless he's broadcasting to Facebook and YouTube on top of me, which I don't know how he could do it. He can't do that. But I can
no,
if you go to Facebook and if you go to oh God, what's my Facebook page? It's facebook.com/William.Handelman.5/ and you look at the live video, all you see is Kenneth.Zaire.
it's
Unless
just like it's on the screen.
that's a screen. Yeah, I mean it's broadcasting, and then it's also the audio from the station. They're talking about volatility. No, all I want for Christmas, blah blah blah. That must be that stupid broker that's selling annuities. I can't
You're
remember.
talking about you're talking before the show starts.
The show that's on right now at the station
Yeah.
is being broadcast on Facebook and YouTube via Restream, but all you're seeing is for the image is Kenneth.Zaire. So your system is somehow sending out uh, a static video picture, and then underneath the caption is actually what's being said on the radio station.
Right. Because right now he's just sending the feed from the station down to you, which we could break the feed easily enough. I'm one because what
No,
I'm
it's
curious.
we don't want to break the feed. The feed is we have to have the feed so that he and I can both be on air. But
Well, right. I'm saying, but right now with the show that's on, you don't. So you're fine with the audio that you have coming to you right now. You're just wanting to not have his block show up whenever he starts
add money to your account. I'm going to tell you very bluntly, you can add 20 to 45% into your retirement account immediately. If you think that's important, at least some of your money should be considered to do that, I believe, because what happens if we're right and there's a correction in the market? What do you do? So these are things that can be very, very helpful for you that we want to help you with. So, Patty, I could see your brain rolling here with things that we're talking about. Tell me what you have in mind right now.
What I was thinking about is on the previous segment when you asked the question, with all this uncertainty, with the fear of a black swan event, etc. What can we do to help clients? What can we recommend? And I have to laugh and say, because if you ask our clients, before they meet with us, let's put it in the bank. They've got 5%. And the reason I'm laughing is because the last time that we had something like this, it was the Great Depression. And who bailed us out?
It's the insurance companies. And
thank you.
And Patty, it's not because the insurance companies are altruistic and they have everybody's best interest. It's because it's designed so that people have faith that the money's going to be there. Think about it. If an insurance company could file bankruptcy and pay you 10 cents on the dollar, nobody would own a policy.
Exactly.
Because you wouldn't have confidence. But the bank, folks, go to FDIC.gov and look up the bank insurance fund. Look how much money is backing your CD. And
talk about pennies to the dollar.
Pennies to the dollar. Wow. We need to play the song Pennies from Heaven, that's the problem is that everything is changing. But you know what else we're not even talking about today? And I'm going to bring it up since you stirred that in my brain. The digital dollar is right around the corner, folks. It's right around the corner. Your dollar, you could wake up one morning and the dollar's not worth what it is. So that's going to be something that we need to look at. And I think there's truth to what he said. What if there's not an election? I think if that happens, we got some deep, deep problems that's going to take place.
Yes.
They're I won't say it. They won't. Who is they? I don't know who they is. But it was funny. I was having a conversation. My phone was recording the whole thing, and it was texting it to someone, and I caught it. And I had to fire my text. But this is crazy when you talk about this.
It is frightening.
It really is.
And people want to hear these things. They want to talk. They want to be educated. We were having lunch together the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, that's right. Somebody was
right. And a gentleman.
And somebody I happened to know. We didn't recognize each other at the time.
Exactly. But he got up from the table, came over and said that he didn't want to leave the table because he wanted to continue listening to you talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Patty, we need to address sacred cows. Many of the sacred cows that we have been told aren't really that sacred. And I think if COVID taught us one thing, it was that. I have done such a deep dive historically with a lot of things that we were told to accept. And I'm finding, and here's why. When I look, if I'm a historian during that 2020 to 2022, depending on my perspective, depends on what I tell people. So that means that history is not objective, it's subjective, depending on who's in control and depending on what my perspective is. If I'm of the perspective that everyone's got to mask up, got to get jabbed and do all of that, that is a very different perspective than somebody who's on the opposite end of the spectrum. So depending on who has control of the airways, depends on what ends up happening. And so with that in mind, I have to look and go back to looking. I'll give you an example. Okay. You've heard me mention this before, but before I mention it, have you ever heard the term replacement theology? Okay. Replacement theology was introduced by Constantine, who made himself Pope. Okay. And that was in like 321 AD. And basically, he blamed, with an incorrect translation, that the Jews were responsible for putting Jesus on the cross. So he took all of the Jewish elements out of the church. Well, the problem, you can't be a Christian unless you are Jewish, in the sense of the historical truth and what we got from Judaism. And so that's why you get people like Dennis Prager who are talking about, there needs to be cooperation between Christians and Jews. I think there's the Fellowship of Christian and Jews and different groups like that, because you can't exclude one without the other. But what happened, it's a miscorrect interpretation of the Bible when it said, let his blood be on us and on our children. That was placed on the whole Jewish state. You know who actually said that? It was the Pharisees. It was the religious leaders. Okay. That's a whole different connotation. When you see that, just like in the Ten Commandments, it's not thou shalt not kill, it's thou shalt not murder. That really changes the whole perspective of that. So what I'm saying is it's not subjective, it's your perspective. So I think when you go back to history, you've got to look at alternative sources, not just the sources that are showing us, telling us what to believe. And so what happens is I've gotten to the point where I don't just accept everything at face value. I don't. I go back and I make sure. All right. So it's very important. Let's see. Oh, I've got a comment from one of my former tennis students. And he said, what is your program about? I'm confused. Are you talking about religion? Are you talking about investments? Are you talking about history? Exactly. Your podcast is very confusing. What is your specialty? What is the benefit of me listening to your podcast? Wow, I love that. That's good, Asanka. Here's the deal. We're talking about everything. It's a financial program, basically. But you have to look at what affects finances, all right? Religion affects finances. Wars affects finances. People's opinions affect finances. The whole thrust of the program is to protect your money, to make sure you have a foundation. Our specialty is protecting your money, showing you how to create a pension-like income and protecting it. But guess what? I'm also who I am, and I'm going to speak freely about what I believe. And if you want to listen to it, great. If you don't, you can always turn me off. But I hope you are doing well. I know you struggled with some things, and I hope and I pray blessings on you, my friend. And I'd love to see you on the tennis court again. And I'm planning on being on the tennis court soon. I actually was for the first time, a couple of days ago, and it was okay. So anyway, folks, here's the point. I'm glad my friend asked that question, because if you want to know what's going on, you got to listen to what's going on. You got to see what's going on and how can it affect your money. The bottom line, folks, think about what I'm going to say right now. If you can add 25 to 45% into your money, or if you can create a tax-free revenue that's insulated from creditors, all right, in most states, then that's a pretty safe place to put your money. We've got a lot of doctors. Why do they do business with us? Because of the fact that their money's protected. It's protected from, outside of fraud, it's protected from creditors, those type of things. So these are the type of things that we can help you with. And if you want to learn and go deeper, go to our YouTube channels, and you can look at some of the things that we've talked about on YouTube and see what's going on. So it's very important, folks. It's very important, because you need to know what to expect and what to be prepared for. Right now, I believe you are going to see taxes go up like never before. And if you are not prepared and you don't have a tax-free strategy, then you're going to be caught in a tough position, because right now inflation is going through the roof. Just look at what's happening to the gas pump. Folks, we're out of time this segment. Go to 1-800-440-0434 or go to mymoneyissafe.com. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have a 401k? Are you 59 and a half or approaching 59 and a half? You can take a defensive step to convert your 401k to an IRA, yet you can continue contributing to your 401k. So what happens is this: if you've got 400,000 to your 401k and the market loses 20, you haven't lost $80,000 because you converted it to an IRA. Take advantage of this. Call 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com and learn how you can add up to 45% to your 401k.
A new year comes with new hope, new optimism. It's time to start fresh and look ahead. At International Diamond Center, we're excited to be a part of your special moments in the new year. We've expanded our selection for 2024. Our diamond inventory has never been better. All sizes, all shapes, real, natural, precious diamonds at the best direct importer prices. And it doesn't stop there. We're showcasing all the new styles and trends in engagement rings and fashion jewelry, inspired and created by the world's premier designers. No one has more fashion-forward jewelry than IDC. Plus, our Swiss watch collection is mind-blowing, with a fabulous selection of pristine pre-owned Rolex watches. So as you look ahead and plan for a new year, remember International Diamond Center, locally owned, internationally connected, with a staff of non-commissioned experts who will guide you every step of the way. Welcome to 2024. Let IDC help you celebrate what matters most in the new year, your love. In Tampa, Clearwater, Lakeland, and Sarasota.
I got a call from an old friend. We laughed about how we had changed, but I could tell things weren't going as well as he planned. He tried to hide his feelings, but they only gave him away. The longer I listened, the more I kept wishing that I knew the right words to say. And you're the only one. Lord, I know you want
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into the Prosperity Hour. You might have just tuned in. I want to talk to you about a term that we use. It's called how to create a pension-like income. I just explained to people, right now you can do what's called an in-service rollover, which is a way to protect your money that you have in a 401k. If you are 59 and a half or approaching 59 and a half, you can move that money over into a foundational safe account that can add over 20% to your account day one. And we'd be glad to talk to you about these strategies. It's very, very important. We were talking about Black Swan events. That's what our title is today with the show. But COVID, Patty, I remember looking at that graph. And in fact, if I can actually put it on, I'll share it on our Facebook page as we do the Facebook page right now. It's really important. And so we'll try to show that. But folks, you've got to be safe with your money. You have to have a strategy to protect your money. That's crucial right now. It is crucial.
Absolutely. Protecting your money via creating a pension-like income, protecting your money, be it creating tax-free income, because you said that you thought that taxes would get higher.
Oh, I think without a doubt.
Oh, absolutely, because the sunset rule is about to go away, and taxes and
the what rule?
About in 2025.
Oh, the tax, taxes are on sale right now.
Yeah, because
by the way, the market's starting to do what I expected it to do. It's down 240 points today, day 3 of the new year. So, you know what? Sell high, buy low. That's all I can say. Go ahead, Patty. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, I was just emphasizing your comment about taxes, because The year that taxes were at their highest was actually 1944 is when they peaked.
Right.
They started climbing 1944 to 1963. They rose 90%. And in 1944, taxes were at 94%.
That's right.
So that 35% tax bracket doesn't look too bad.
No, without a doubt.
So
Without a doubt.
exactly. Say the government lets you keep your money, but what if it's okay, you could keep this, but that $100 you made, you get 6 of it.
That's correct. That's correct right there. Patty, I am posting something. So folks that are on the radio that are listening to this, sorry you can't see this. It wouldn't be good if you're driving right now. So just listen to me. You can go back to Facebook. I'm running the chart, Patty. Do you see it on your screen? This shows what happened during COVID. All right, Black Swan event. It went down to.
And when people that are just tuning in, et cetera, Black Swan event is not Swan Lake. It's not a night at the opera or at the ballet. It is an unprecedented, unexpected, something you cannot predict.
You cannot predict. Yeah, you look at the market. It was at almost 30,000. It dropped to 17,000 and change. All right. Market's at 37,000 right now. Okay. But what's happening with the rate of inflation and what's sustaining this market right now?
It'd be interesting.
What's that, Patty?
If you were to have, say you have the 37,000 right there, but then you had a line that went underneath it that showed how inflation really was taking money away from it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then so it's that 37,000, what is that really? Is it like 24,000, 25,000?
Right. So
30,000?
Yeah. What you're talking about is what's it worth?
Exactly.
What's it worth right now?
And
That's
inflation is not what you're being told either.
no. Look at, and you bring up a great point. Look at what's just happened to gas.
Mhm.
Just in a short period of time. Oil's, went up. It's probably going to go up to $200 a gallon.
Right.
So meanwhile, what's happening is your dollar's worth less. What about home purchases right now?
I was thinking about lumber.
Lumber.
Well, I'll never forget. The reason I say that, I'll never forget it. Had a client that was a builder. This is back pre 9/11.
Right.
He comes in post 9/11 and he was like, oh boy. And I said, what? He said, the price of lumber. Astronomical. He said, how much, etc. He said, even though, he said, mark my words. He said, this will correct itself. Lumber will go back down to what it was originally and lower. He said, but we, the consumer, will never see that.
That's right. That's right. We will not see that
And
at
it's the
all.
truth. He said, and who keeps that money? Who pockets it?
Well, it's just like, what about those big fines that companies get? You know what I mean? What happens with those big fines? So,
Is that how they our $100,000 paid employee government employee had the $2 million phones?
wow. Well, I just got flagged online for speaking our mind.
Really?
I just got flagged. Yeah. Hey,
shame on you, Greg.
I'm glad for the First Amendment. I'm thankful for the First Amendment. I'm glad that there is something called free speech. There is still free speech so far. So far. Even though that's being tested around the globe. Okay. And it's being tested here like never before. So let's bring this home. If there is a Black Swan event, are you prepared? Or are you going to be like a lemming following each other over the cliff? I did a show a couple of years ago and I said, don't be a financial lemming. And lemmings are those little animals that follow themselves over the cliff. Okay. And I'm going to try to actually play that in a video on our Facebook page and see what it does. And I guess that's okay. Lemmings. And so Patty, help me out here. What do you think with what we're talking about right here?
I think that, like we have said in shows before, that it's not a time to bury your head in the sand. I think about someone that I love very dearly that has a habit to do that.
Mhm.
And we have clients that come in and do that. They haven't looked at their statement because if they don't look at it, it's not real. Well, guess what? It is real.
Yeah.
Because we can help you. There are things that you can do. We don't mean to alarm people. We just want to be realistic.
Right.
We want to be proactive and not just reactive.
Right. Right.
Because
Exactly.
you can be proactive. You can make a plan, and we would love to talk to you and help you make that plan.
Well, and that's exactly right, because there is a way to make a plan. I mean, there is a way to protect your money. You know, I am actually posting on our Facebook page right now lemmings that are acting like lemmings. So,
Lemmings do what lemmings do.
you know, so, and it's showing them going over the cliff and following, you know, and they dive into the water. And, you know, that's the danger of following the crowd there. Okay. That's the danger of following the crowd. So for those of you who are listening to the show, we just showed an interactive lemming video there. And so the whole idea is to protect your money, you know. Somebody's laughing at the lemmings.
Well, you said that about the lemmings and that people, react and like that. In investing, there is the term. It's called the herd instinct.
Right. It is.
And that is one of the styles of investing where you just follow the crowd.
Yeah.
It's not
yeah.
always good to do.
No. And in fact, I was brought up not to follow the crowd.
Same thing.
Absolutely. I really was. My dad was involved in politics in the Caribbean, and he was what would I say? He was an individualist that loved people, but he believed in the right to stand up and help each other,
right.
You know? And I guess I got that from him. And I don't like to see injustice. I don't like to see people getting hurt unnecessarily. And so there are ways that you can protect yourself. And we're just trying to show. It was funny. My old tennis student, had some comments about the type of the show. I guess I was waiting for a response, but he didn't respond. So I guess
I got you now. You're sounding okay.
All right.
Well, who knows? Who knows? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Because
Very good.
And that is, and this is the truth. When we talk to clients and when we go on the air, we truly do and say what we think is best.
Right. We do, because look, somebody's got to be willing to speak the truth with what's going on. Patty, we got about a minute left, and I just want to say right now, I want our listeners to realize they can take advantage of an in-service rollover right now, protecting their 401k. The market's down starting for the year. I expect most of the gains in December and November to be erased. That's just my opinion. I think I'm still entitled to it. And I would say right now to take advantage. Right now, we've got some accounts we can do before January 9th where the rates are going to drop. I expect the feds to drop the rate to try to stimulate the market. From the experts that I'm studying, I think it might have a little bit of an upsurge, but I don't think it'll have the same effect that even the hint of that, not long term, because I think that there's too many factors that are there. One thing we didn't talk about, okay? What about China? Remember that movie, What About Bob?
Yeah.
We need to do a movie called What About China?
Yeah.
Folks, listen, we are out of time. 1-800-440-0434. Go to mymoneyissafe.com. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. Patty, thanks for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Greg Ellie of the Prosperity Group, and I really want to thank you very much for tuning in to the Prosperity Hour. And we talk about a black swan event. We talk about
you're looking good.
Money, how to create a pension-like income, how to create an inflation-friendly increasing income. We're talking about the possibility of a black swan event.
All right, Doc, we are coming up on news here. You're feeling good, ready to go?
I'm ready to rock and roll, bud.
Okay, we'll catch you at the other side of the weather.
You got it.
And I'll still be cueing you manually. Well, I don't think you'll be able to hear the music. I don't know, but we'll try.
Okay.
At Odyssey, AM 860, The Answer. Online at theanswertampa.com. With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. At a campaign rally in Newton, Iowa, Saturday, former President Trump pledged to remember ordinary Americans.
Under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. You'll be forgotten no longer. Remember the term? I'd use it in 2016 a lot, and they were not forgotten. They were not, but now they're forgotten again.
Mr. Trump is leading in all polls against his GOP challengers, with the Iowa caucuses just around the corner. A new online application designed to make applying for federal student aid easier went live this past week, but it hasn't been easier. In fact, it doesn't work for a lot of folks. It's led to worry and frustration for many students and parents. The free application for federal student aid typically opens launch at the beginning of October, but was delayed till the end of the year. This is SRN News. Parents groups across the nation are fighting to get pornographic materials out of public school libraries. Pro-family advocates and child psychologists say the stakes are high for America's kids.
If they see sexually explicit materials, it can increase their sexual activity, their sexually permissive attitudes. It can increase sexual callousness.
Teresa Sidebotham is an attorney with the Christian legal group Telios Law.
The fight is over, do the schools have a right to do it? Do the parents have a right to combat it? But everyone should refocus on the actual welfare of children and what is good or bad for them to be looking at.
She advises moms and dads to find out what their children are reading at school. If they don't like what they find out, they need to take action. One place to start is with a local school board. Parents can also join a parental rights organization in their state or start one if it doesn't exist. This is SRN News.
Rock on down the highway to the Florida RV Super Show, the largest RV show in the country. Wednesday, January 17th through Sunday, the 21st at the Florida State Fairgrounds. Over 1,300 brand new 2024 RVs on display with RV parts, accessories, and gadgets. Adults, $15 for a 2-day pass. Kids under 16, free. Seniors save $2 Wednesday through Friday. First responders and military save $2 every day. Advance tickets at frvta.org.
Know why most shoe stores never bother to measure your feet? Too much work. Know why they don't offer different widths? Too much work. Know why they don't ask about your work? Too much work. Think you can say installing that last bridge span or torquing the bolts on a jet engine is too much work? Didn't think so. At a Red Wing shoe store, we know your feet and your work because Red Wing boots are purpose-built for the exact work you do. Red Wing shoes. Work is our work.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour, only on AM 860, The Answer.
High current risk in effect through this evening. Mostly cloudy, less humid today, high 66. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, the low 51. Tomorrow, cloudy with a couple of showers, high 71. Winds becoming strong Tuesday, cloudy, periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 78. Get your weather news when and how you want it, wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Drew Shannon for AM 860, The Answer.
Hey, go, Doc.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD. How you doing? How you doing, Ken? Thank Joe for coming in and helping us out this morning. Here we are.
We had a little technical thing. That's right.
Yes, we did. And we're going to fix it. You know what? We're going to get you a good computer. We're going to put you as the host with my program so that you can control the video a little bit better.
That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I talked with Joe about that. And he doesn't even have to buy the program. He can use my program because I know how cheap the company is.
Don't say that. It's not true.
They take good care of you. They love you.
Well, I'm happy here.
So you can see me now on Facebook. We've got it worked out where it's not flipping back and forth, but go to Dr. Bill, your radio MD on 860WGUL.com on Facebook and find that page, and you'll be able to see me without everything flipping back and forth.
I'm watching you right now on Facebook, as a matter of fact.
Okay, good. Is it working?
It's working just well. Streaming along.
All right. We're happy now. So Ken hit me up earlier in the week, and he said, hey, Doc, check out this new antibiotic for Acinetobacter, which is a bacteria that's causing hospital deaths, primarily people that are on ventilators. You know, they're intubated. They got the tube down in their airway, and the machine's doing all that kind of stuff. And this is a very common bacteria. It's found everywhere. We call it a water bug because it likes a moist area, and it probably lives in us and on us. But what happens is that when we're really sick and our immune system is down, this little booger can get in there and cause pneumonia and infections and sepsis and can kill you. It's not something that is highly worrisome for the average person, but the antibiotic that they're developing or have developed, and they're testing it now, zosurabalpin, attacks the bacteria from a novel angle. So the bacteria will secrete a toxin or some type of chemical to coat its cell membrane with that protects it from our immune system so that our antibodies can't attach to it. So, you know, it's like putting on a Teflon coating so that the antibodies can't attach. The antibodies actually go in and attach to the cell membrane of a foreign cell and blow it up or tag it for white blood cells to come around and pick up, kind of like the garbage man. You know, they set it out on the curb and say, come get this. So this is a really new, interesting antibiotic, and the first one to come down the pike in a long time, a whole new class of drugs, because it actually blocks the release from inside of the bacteria's cell onto the surface of the cell membrane. So very good, very interesting. And
is this a super bug, as they call him?
This is a superbug. Acinetobacter is one of the superbugs, but oddly enough, it's very common, and you can pick it up anywhere. It's in the water, it's in the soil, it's all over the place. It's Acinetobacter baumannii, and this is something that keeps the infectious disease doctors in business. They like this stuff.
Well, it's got to be a good thing, because I know the bugs were getting resistant to our other antibiotics.
Well, and you know, they're adaptive. They're living organisms, so they're going to want to survive, as we have said over and over again on the show. Everything wants to survive. Even one-celled bacteria want to survive. One-celled organisms inside the womb of a woman want to survive. Come on, everything wants to live. And you just got to find the right environment to do it. And problem with women wanting not to have babies is that we don't have a good environment yet to grow them outside of the uterus in. So, but the women, they don't like that idea. They think they should have control over their bodies. And you know me, Ken, we're herd animals kind of guy, and we belong to each other. So we have to cooperate and work with each other. We can't just say, it's my body and you can't do what you want with it. Well, you know what? Honestly, we can. I mean, if we want to, we can do what we want. And don't forget that men gave women the vote, and by God, they can take it away real easily.
I wouldn't try that right now.
Well, no, I wouldn't try it right now. You'd have 100 women or probably 10,000 at your door with banners and posters all screaming and yelling. I've already got enough women mad at me around here in the neighborhood. I don't need any more.
Well, I just thought it was something we should know today. So it looked like it was a breakthrough kind of thing.
It is, and it's a really potent antibiotic because it has the ability to do something that no other antibiotic class has ever done, and that is to block an enzymatic process, protein process inside the cell before the cell can do any damage, before the bacterial cell can do any damage. And that allows our immune system to attack it. Now, remember, this Acinetobacter baumannii it's a opportunistic bug. So you probably have some on you, and there's probably some in your sink and different areas out in the dirt and so on and so forth. But it's not going to attack you because you're not immunocompromised. Your immune system is working well. And of course, it needs a route of entry. And if you're in the ICU and you're on a ventilator and you've got IV fluids going, you've got tubes and a catheter in your bladder and all that, you've got a lot of portals of entry because these things allow bacteria to come in. And you can say, well, don't they keep everything sterile? Well, I mean, you can try your best, but you can scrub your hands for 2 hours with the antiseptic alcohol stuff, but 2 hours later, your hands will be completely recovered with all the bacteria that were on there before.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's a battle. It's a war, isn't it? We figure out something, then they figure out something how to get around it. And then we figure out something else.
I just spit in my hands and rub them together, and I figure that's as good as anything.
Hey, all right, that's an interesting question. Does your immune system have to be exercised, or is it good for us to be using like the Lysol on everything? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't believe in all this Lysol stuff, and my office girls, they are constantly cleaning every surface, and there's Lysol in every room, and it drives me nuts. I can't stand the smell of that stuff. It gives me migraines, and I say to them, I say, what's dirtier, that countertop or your hand? And 95% of the viruses are airborne anyway. They're not transmitted hand to mouth or oral fecal route. There are a few bugs that will come that way. I mean, you can get some of these diarrhea bacteria and viruses that are transmitted oral fecal. And we've seen that, and we've seen it in workers who've had it or who are colonized with it, and then they prepare the salad bar on the ships or wherever, and then everybody comes down with who eats that salad comes down with the bug, and you got the diarrhea bug going around, the Norwalk virus and all that. But that's really not the rule. Most of the viruses are spread by aerosol, by you cough or sneeze and somebody walks through it, and a few minutes later and they pick it up.
Hey, when I was a kid, we used to drink out of the hose. All right, we were in every kind of mud puddle there is known to man. We were going into places we probably should never have gone into, and the only warnings we ever got from our parents was don't step on a rusty nail. So, are we better off because of that? Did we build an immune system that was resistant to just about everything because of it?
Well, just
because our kids being cheated today because they're not doing that.
Well, one of the things I did is my parents said, don't step on a rusty nail. So I went out and did it just to show.
Just to be a rebellious one, huh?
But I never had any problems drinking from the hose. What are you going to catch from?
Well, it's been laying on the ground. What do you want to drink on the hose for? Come and get a glass.
Well, it doesn't bother me. I mean, you're going to pick up a little dirt no matter what you do. You put your fingers in your mouth and you've got germs and dirt and bugs and all that in your mouth. So I'm not quite sure what the big deal is, but and now you're not supposed to drink out of the hose, I guess, because the hose itself has toxic materials in it, this plastics and different things. So instead you drink out of a plastic water bottle. So it's very confusing to me. I don't get it.
You're right. I never thought about that.
Did you ever think when you were a kid that a bottle of water would cost as much as a bottle of beer? I mean,
never.
I mean, this is
the price of beer is much too high.
And you know who's driving this? It's the women.
Women.
They don't like the taste of tap water because it's got chlorine in it, and they think that's evil. And you got some trace minerals. And here in our area in Florida, there's a little sulfur in the water, which is actually good for you. And so it's a little different. There's calcium and iron because if you let the water sit in the toilet or the sink, it'll create that ring.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think some of these trace minerals are probably good for you, but
I know I had an uncle worked with horses and was a ironsmith and lived in Colorado, and he came back to Chicago one time to and we were having dinner, and they asked him if he wanted some more coffee, and he said no, he couldn't take the coffee because the water, even though it was coming from Lake Michigan, which is some of the finest freshwater lakes in the world, he said he couldn't stand it. It just tasted terrible because of the water. So it must have been what they put into it afterwards that he was tasting as well. So,
yeah, it's some of it are additives, and some of it's psychological too. Ken, I mean, you get 5 women decide they like a bottle of water in a plastic bottle over the tap, and all of a sudden 50,000 women like it, and then 50 million women like it, and And then the guys follow suit. And I tried to fight it. And my wife always has at least 24 bottles of water in the refrigerator in the garage. And after a while, I'm just like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, can't beat them, join them, huh?
Yeah, just, it's not worth fighting over. And so they like that. And then the guys get hooked and the kids get hooked because the mothers tell them, oh, this is safer for you. This is healthier. And my son, everything has to be filtered now. And he carries around this big jug and it's got filtered water in it. And he won't drink anything else. But that's the way it is.
That's not going to hurt him, I guess, to be filtered. So if he wants to pay extra for it, go for it.
We'll see. We'll see how long he lives.
What else is going on, Doc?
Well, talking about babies and organisms wanting to live now in China, they're rapidly losing population by attrition, and they're not making any babies. And so there's two problems. One is that there's way more men than women because in the old days when they had the one child, one family rule going on to slow down the population growth, a lot of the women would abort the females because the males were more valuable. They'd earn more money and could do more activities around the house and that sort of thing. So now there's a virtual lack of women of childbearing years. And on top of that, the government wants them to start having more babies. And they're saying, no. A lot of the women say, I don't want to have any more babies. I got one baby, or I don't want any babies at all. I'm a career woman. And one woman said, well, if you want to pay me 40 grand, I'll have another baby, but I'm not going to do it for free. I mean, the economy's tanking over there. People in the 18 to 35 age group are having a hard time finding jobs. And the unemployment in the young people is, I think, about 20% now, Ken. That's a big.
That's awfully high.
Yeah, that's awfully high. And we're stretching out the supply chains by trying to shift everything down to Vietnam and Bangladesh and Indonesia. And eventually we'll get into India when they get a little bit less corrupt. But and it's kind of the idea of cutting off from China, our trade with China, is a little bit fictitious, because what we're doing is we're now having things that are the base parts are made in China. They're shipped to Vietnam. They're put together in Vietnam, and then we buy them from Vietnam.
Right. Yeah.
So we're still supporting this, but they do see a drop because, of course, you're going to get more for a piece of finished good than you are for a mass-produced piece of plastic or a circuit board that has not been put into and hooked up and programmed to do what it's supposed to do in whatever it is, a car or a computer or a rocket ship or whatever. So, but the women are saying, why should I have a baby? I'm happy. I've got one baby. I'm happy with that. Or I've got a career and I just want to go home at the end of the day and be with my pets. And you can get especially the women, they get a lot of satisfaction, emotional satisfaction out of taking care of just about anything that's living, including a dog or a cat. And one of the great stories my friend Nick tells me is his mother, he was originally from India, and his mother, of course, is Indian. She's still there, and very devout Hindu, almost a Jain. She didn't even believe in killing a cockroach, and she would lift them up and carry them back outside.
Wow.
So that they wouldn't, she did not believe in killing any living things, but she did not want a dog. She did not like the idea of having a pet in the house because she thought it was dirty. And then one of her sons had a dog, and he moved away and said, will you take care of the dog for me? Of course, she fell in love with the dog.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then she didn't want to give the dog up. So now the dog lives with her. I don't know if the dog's still alive, but I think that's a very telling story about the nature of the beast, that if you have a pet, that may fulfill those maternal needs in a lot of women. Now, I would think that the challenge of raising a child would be something a lot of people would want to do, but apparently it's that whole sentiment's kind of fading, Ken, in the younger generation.
It's in this country too. Yeah.
all over the world.
Yeah. Japan has the same problem. Their population is aging.
Korea is now paying people to have babies. They're offering you additional financial support for second and third kids. They get free college, and there's a lot of perks to having another kid. Now, whether or not the Korean women will do it, they're women. They're going to do what they want. That's the end of it. And if they have a pet and they're happy with that, and there's a lot of people in Korea now that have dogs for pets.
Don't they eat dogs over there?
Not anymore. They're
Not
out
anymore? Okay. If I was a dog, I'd be pretty nervous.
Well, I'm nervous because my wife keeps calling me a dirty dog. So, hey, did you see I got my Dr. Bill mug this morning?
I hadn't noticed yet.
I found a blue one, so it shows up without
Very nice.
bled through.
Okay.
Pretty.
Looking good.
Looking good. Yeah, look at that. Dr. Bill, Dr. Bill. All right, so that's what's going on in China. Plus, they're threatening to take over the whole world, but I don't think they're going to get anywhere.
Oh, not in our lifetime.
No, they're not there yet. But if we leave the Democrats in long enough, they'll just give the whole country away. So either way, it's unbelievable. I mean, just go in and bomb the crap out of the Iranian plants that are making these drones and these missiles and these rockets. Blow them up. What's the big deal?
Oh, they think they're going to, Washington's afraid they'll go nuclear somehow. Take out South Korea. Take out Hawaii or something, or Japan.
Well, Hawaii is pretty heavily Democratic, so I'm not sure that's any great loss. But that's why I say use neutron bombs, because then
Doesn't Bezos live there now?
Does he live there?
I think he may have a place in Hawaii. I'm sure he's got a place everywhere. But
well, he's a nice Jewish boy, so I'm sure he was a liberal at some point. I don't know what he is now. I haven't heard that he's involved in a lot of politics. Have you?
No, but I'm sure he is. He just keeps it a secret.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's played his cards pretty close to the chest, and one of the most successful men of our generation, huh?
Yeah, and Bill Gates is now the same. Well, you see a lot more of Bill Gates. We don't see Bill anymore. You hear about him giving, some college money or something like that, but you don't see these guys anymore.
Well, Bill's morphed into a real liberal. He's, climate change and save the monkeys and whatever else is going on. He's in on that. And I guess his foundation is huge.
Yeah, well, yeah. Any foundation he could put together would be big. Yeah.
Interesting guy. Dropped out of Harvard and
changed the world.
Changed the world. Well, actually, he just stole it from Jobson and Wozniak, but
yeah,
he knew how to market.
There was enough money to go around for everybody.
Hell, I didn't get any of it.
Well, you weren't one of the three, so.
I could have been. Nobody.
I could have never come up with that. I could have never come up with Windows. I guarantee you.
Yeah, that was Wozniak. He's the guy who really figured that out. Smart boy. He's still alive.
Again, one of those guys you just never see.
Yeah, he and Jobs started Apple, and it was Paul Allen and Bill Gates that started the Windows thing.
Microsoft, yeah.
Yeah, Microsoft. And I think Paul Allen's dead now. So
I think you're right on that one. Might be, yeah.
I wonder
so, at the end, you leave all your money here, so you might as well give it away.
Give it to me.
I'll take a little bit.
Yeah, I'll put it to good use, honestly.
So will I, absolutely.
So did you hear North Korea fired 200 artillery rounds into the disputed waters between the North and South, right off the shore of the demilitarized zone? So if you've ever been to Korea, South Korea, and you go up to the boundary between the North and the South, there's about a mile or two wide buffer area that is basically now just a national park. It's all wooded, and animals that they hadn't seen in the peninsula for hundreds of years have returned and lived there. And it's fascinating with a binoculars or a scope. You can see the pseudo village that the North built because both sides were supposed to build a village or a town right near the border to deter, incursions, because you don't want to shell your own bloodline, although the North doesn't care. They'll shell it. But
So
anyway,
what'd they build there?
In the buffer zone or on the
Yeah,
north side?
on the north side.
They built a little village and never populated it.
Okay.
And said, see, we built a village. And in the South said, well, we actually have people living in our villages.
They are funny to watch.
Do you know that they dug caves through granite, through rock, underneath the demilitarized zone from North Korea to South Korea? Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Are they still there? Or are we blowing them up?
They're still there. Of course, they've been blocked off in certain points, but they've all been found, and you can actually go into them and walk down about a half a mile, and they get pretty tight. You have to be pretty small and you have to bend over, but it's fascinating to see. I wonder how many people died digging those things.
Sure.
I think they found about 4 or 5 so far. And I guess that was so the North Koreans could come streaming into the South underneath the buffer zone, the DMZ zone.
Which is just pretty much minefield, isn't it? That's just one big minefield.
It's not even that anymore. It's just a national park. It's
really,
yeah, it's all wooded, and it's really beautiful. And as I said, there are animals that have returned into that habitat that have not been seen on the peninsula for decades or centuries. Somebody even spotted a tiger. So go figure. So really, it should just be turned into, the UN should turn it into a world, whatever site that they call it, world refugee site. There you go.
okay. Yeah. Well,
animal refugee site. And that is a fascinating phenomenon to see. If you ever get the chance to go to Korea, make sure you go to the DMZ. We were going up to the DMZ, and our guide was talking, because you can't go on your own. They don't want people just coming up in a car. You have to go on a bus on an official tour. I guess there's some danger involved with that. And of course, there's soldiers there, and there's buildings, and there's armaments, and there's gift shops, and it's kind of an interesting mix of tourism and militarism. I have not really seen anything like that before. And so we were going up, and I asked this one lady who was our tour guide. I said, have you ever met anybody who has escaped from North Korea? And she told me about a woman she met who secretly had, in the early days, had people from the South send her money, and she'd saved up her money, hid it, and then she paid off the guards and worked her way down and got across somehow.
money is king. Cash is king, man.
Yeah, it's like pretty cool,
Yeah, everybody's corrupt.
But I forget who it was. It was either Samsung or one of the big industrialists, one of the big magnates in South Korea. His dad told him, he was in North Korea, and he didn't like what was going on. He was a kid, and his dad said, hey, take our cow to market and sell it. We need the money. And he said, okay, Dad. So he took the cow to market, sold it, and escaped. And Dad, I guess, starved to death. Who knows? But
they probably put him in a work camp after they found out he took off across the country.
Yeah. They probably shot him, or he shot himself.
Yeah, they take it out on your family. So one way to keep you there.
Well, yeah, because you had the damn kid. Why don't we do that here if our kids act up? Just kill the parents. Is that wrong? No?
No, let me think about that for a while.
You think about that. We'll talk about that after we go get a cup of Joe. But
That's
what we really need before we have coffee?
We need a question.
We need a question.
We need a question for not one, but 2 Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. Doc's holding on one right now. If you're watching on Facebook, they are gorgeous and very, very sturdy. I like them. The phone number to call if you want to win, 877-969-8600. That's 877-969-8600. First caller with the correct answer to this question. We were talking about a new type of medicine coming out that's going to fight superbugs. What kind of medicine was that? You don't have to come up with a name, just a type. Was it a steroid? Was it a birth control pill? Whatever. Tell me what kind of pill it was. What kind of medicine is it? At 877-969-8600, 877-969-8600, and the first caller will win. Ain't that true, Doc?
You got it, buddy boy. And by the way, I'm at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Telemedicine visits are always available. And we just had Steve Baltimore last week as a telemedicine visit.
All right, good. You ready to go?
I'm ready, buddy. We'll
All right,
catch you on the flip side.
You bet.
Travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860, The Answer.
Higher current risk in effect through this evening. Mostly cloudy, less humid today. High 66. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy. The low 51. Tomorrow, cloudy with a couple of showers. High 71. Winds becoming strong Tuesday. Cloudy, periods of rain and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 78. Get your weather news when and how you want it, wherever you are. Download our free app or visit AccuWeather.com. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm Drew Shannon for AM 860, The Answer.
Go, Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
Here we go. Now I'm unmuted. I didn't want you to hear me slurping my coffee and coughing while we were on break there, bud. So
you're back now. Good.
I'm back now, and I've got behind me a little mini reactor. Can you see that, buddy?
I see that. Looks like that's what looks like a nuclear reactor.
So these are the new smaller ones, and they produce, of course, less energy, but they're modular. So you can build them in a factory, and you can ship them somewhere and put them together. And little towns and cities can have 1 or 2 or 3 of these things, and it's got gas, either water vapor, or you can use other coolants. They're using carbon dioxide. Let me see if I can get out of the way. So you see, here's the reactor. This heats up the water or the carbon dioxide or whatever, and as it heats it, it blows it down through here, turns these little turbines. You know what a turbine is? You look inside the motor of a jet engine, Ken.
That's a turbine.
That's a turbine, and that turns. And as that turns, it turns a little axle on a generator, and the generator makes electricity. And then it goes to your little city.
Pretty simple.
Very simple. And so now, apparently, the Chinese and the Russians are way ahead of us on implementing nuclear energy as a source of electricity. So now we're playing catch up as usual. However, we have companies that have developed a lot of this stuff, and it probably helped in Russia and China as well to get them set up. But of course, the Democrats and the weenies and the wonks, they're all afraid of nuclear energy and nuclear fuel, and they think they're going to have a nuclear explosion in their backyard, which they're not. So these are called advanced gas-cooled reactors, among other things. And there's different gases that you can use other than water, and you just have to change the metal containers that you have the material in because of the corrosion that can be caused. So you can even use salt. You can even use liquefied salt to drive it. Of course, that's highly corrosive. But Ken, here you have rods that are made out of material that will absorb neutrons, and then between that you have the nuclear material, and so you can pull these rods in and out, and they will moderate the amount of heat that is released because they'll increase or decrease the nuclear fission that's going on. The more material you have closer to each other, the more fission you're going to have. And of course, if you can super compact it, you have super fission, which is a nuclear explosion. You can't get that in a nuclear reactor. You can't get the U-235 close enough, the atoms close enough together. You have to use high explosives to force them together.
Yeah, the worst you could have would be a meltdown.
Yeah, meltdown. And then when that melts down and it burns through the crust of the earth and it hits a water pocket, then you have a thermal reaction. You have a steam jet shoot up, and that disperses the nuclear material all over the place. But even that's not, people are, well, I'm going to get thyroid cancer. Well, it's a little worse than skin cancer. We can find it quickly, and it's easy to get out. It's a one-day procedure. Of course, nobody likes being cut on, but too bad. Suck it up.
Well, if we can put these on submarines, we should be able to power a small town with it.
Well, that's what this guy down in Turks and Caicos, an attorney, told me. He said, we love it down here. The only thing we're lacking is our own electricity. He said, if we could just get a hold of a nuclear reactor out of an old sub, we wouldn't need anything. We'd have electricity. We wouldn't have to import oil or gas or anything.
Of course, they become an instant terrorist target. So you got to watch that, too. They have to be hardened pretty well, I would think.
Okay, so a terrorist gets a hold of one of these. Now, what are they going to do with it?
No, I'm talking about just blowing one up.
Well, yeah, you've got to have security, but you can blow up a power plant, a substation. You can blow up a dam. You can blow up anything, but I guess there just will need to be some extra security. But Ken, I think we're getting a little hysterical when we're worried about terrorists. If we're really worried about terrorists, why don't we close the border?
That's a good point. Yeah, stop letting them in. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be step number one. That really would be. Yeah.
I don't think that terrorism is as big a threat as we think it is in this day and age. I think we've got a pretty good grip on it, but we could certainly have another 9/11 of some type or another.
True.
And speaking of planes, did you see where that I think it was a 757 big piece of it came off Alaska Air? Did you see
Yes, yeah, it looked like a door area that was never put into a door. It's there in case an airline wants to make it a door. Blew off, so it's kind of like a cutout area.
Yeah, it was like one of the panels that was riveted on that just blew out or got sucked out, and some little kid's diaper got ripped off. It was terrible.
A lot of people lost their cell phones.
That is terrible.
Yeah,
I'm suing.
But nobody got sucked out, and I was surprised. Usually the person right next to it, on a hole that size especially. I mean, whole rows have been sucked out.
I mean, that was one big mother sucker.
Yes, that was huge.
That was huge. That was like a whole door gone.
Well, that's what it was. With an area that's supposed to be a door if the airline wants it there.
And it's amazing to me that that we survive as much as we do. We're pretty resilient, you know.
We're tough. Yeah,
we're tough. We're tough. Of course, you have to put on your oxygen mask because you're at 30,000 feet, and if you don't put on your oxygen mask, you're not going to be around much longer because there ain't no oxygen up there.
And it's very cold up there. It's like 50 below, so they got to get down fast.
So, which I'm sure they did. They probably felt like a damn stone. I mean, because they lost their cabin compression, and it probably threw everything off.
But how scary! How scary!
But yeah, but Alaska Air has grounded all of those jets that are in that class. I forget which one they are. It's a Boeing, I think, a 757 or 767
something like that. Yeah.
And so Alaska Air is going to take a big hit. Oh my gosh.
I think there may have been more grounded after that, but I'm not sure. So I want to say
probably, it probably follows suit, and they'll have to check everything out on those planes.
Yeah, they usually do. So very, very scary.
Very, and interesting too. Interesting. I like that kind of stuff. I mean, I like being in the middle of a crisis and trying to figure out how to get through it. Okay, it sort of presents a challenge, kind of like a code in the hospital when somebody's dying. And of course, I'm getting older, so I'm not as gung ho as I used to be. But I did take the advanced cardiac life support course again Friday. We have to re-up every 2 or 3 years in order to maintain our privileges at the hospital, especially if you're calling yourself a cardiologist or intensive care doctor. So had to do that, got that out of the way, got some more CMEs, and it really hasn't changed a whole lot. I missed one question because I said 10 to 12 breaths per minute when you're, bagging people and pumping on their chest. You know how you do that. You've seen
Sure.
Well, that's only 10.
Oh, shit.
I was off by, oh my God, I was off by 2.
You're going to give them a little more air. What's wrong with you, person?
I know that. What are they denying these people oxygen?
By the way, I just looked it up, and Alaska Airlines has grounded their fleet, and the FAA has also grounded an additional 171 of the jets, which is a 767 MAX 9, I think it's called.
767. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the 767.
I'm sorry, 737 MAX 9. 737.
737. There you go. They're a little smaller planes.
Older, yeah. So.
And apparently the rivets are coming loose. So
don't get on one. Don't get on a 737 today.
No, avoid the 737s. The rivets are not holding, and I don't think bubble gum's going to work here.
No.
So you know what a big problem is osteoarthritis, Ken. You know what that is?
Oh, sure. My mom had it. It's painful.
Yeah, it's degeneration of the joints, and it's got a genetic component. It's also partly related to trauma, the trauma of just walking around, because as you know, your joints are your shock absorbers. And if you are an athlete and you do weight-bearing activity, you're going to likely increase the risk of osteoarthritis if you have a predisposition to it. And it's a big problem, especially with the aging population. And that's why the orthopods are making such big money, because they're replacing knees and hips and spinal surgery and all that, ruptured disc and shoulders, and the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. Well, now there's a lot of research going on to try to figure out what medications can we use to treat this or prevent it. And one of the things that has come up is strontium renylate. Strontium renylate. You know what strontium is?
Not a clue.
Strontium is a heavy metal, and radioactive strontium is one of the daughters of the nuclear reactors and the nuclear explosions, and that has a half-life of, I don't know, 100 billion years or something. Who knows? It's got a long half-life. And so, but at any rate, strontium has been used, believe it or not, since the time of the gladiators in old Rome. And they didn't know exactly what strontium was, but they knew there was something in certain fresh vegetables and that protected their joints, and it was high levels of strontium. And so they would eat, we would think they would eat a high meat diet. They actually ate a high vegetable diet, believe it or not.
Yeah, you think they'd be going for the protein, the gladiators especially.
I think they got protein enough to get through the day, but the strontium strengthened their bones and protected their joints. And so they ate, without knowing it, a high strontium diet. Now, strontium renylate has been used in Europe for osteoarthritis, and this works by interfering with some of the abnormal chemicals that are released. And so you have bone cells, and on top of that you have cartilage cells, chondrocytes, and the chondrocytes are at the top and bottom of the bones that make up the joint, like the knee. And these get dysregulated over time, and they don't actually remember, or they're blocked from remembering what they're supposed to be doing, or whether they're supposed to be increasing or decreasing, so to speak. And we have constant turnover of our bone and our cartilage, Ken, so that you've got in the bone, you have osteoblasts and osteoclasts. They're two classes of cells. One breaks down bone, the other builds it back up. So we're constantly remodeling our bone. And we're also doing this with our joints. We're constantly remodeling our joints, our cartilages. If you lose the ability to do that, then the normal wear and tear of walking and running and jumping and dancing and doing radio shows is going to...
Yeah, we're often very sore after this show.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I have to take a pain pill here.
Sitting in the same chair will make you achy.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we're attacking with these new drugs are the interleukins, and specifically interleukin 1B. Now, we know that interleukin 6 is associated with certain autoimmune diseases, and interleukin 23 other autoimmune diseases. We know a lot about the interleukins. They're an interesting class of chemicals that our bodies make. And so this has been well described. We know all about it. And now we're looking for ways to alter or amend or interfere with that. And so we're coming out with new treatments for osteoarthritis, and also looking at regenerative therapy to help the cartilage repair itself. So these are all new, potentially miracle drugs for people like you and me, Ken, who are getting to that point in that age and stage in life where the osteoarthritis is kicking in.
Well, I know my knees are getting pretty weak. I have to push myself on a table if I have to get on the floor and do something. So
yeah. So that's an interesting medical factoid that you probably didn't know about.
No.
Look for that coming out. And even though the new antibiotic is really fun and fascinating, and we hope it'll do a lot of good, we're talking about a few thousand people that, or tens of thousands maybe, that contract the Acinetobacter and die from that. But we're talking about tens of millions of people with osteoarthritis and joint replacements.
It can give your life. You can give them their life back if you can get them out there moving a little bit.
Yep.
Without pain.
Yeah. And of course, that's important, because if you remain active, you're going to live longer and keep your weight down. 30 minutes of aerobic activity every day of your life will prolong your life, decrease diabetes, decrease hypertension, decrease high cholesterol, all those things that are
What about
bad.
just walking?
You really have to do aerobics. So you have to be sweating. You power walk. If you're not sweating, you're not burning calories. If you're not burning calories, you're not really performing any heavy work. But of course, as we get older, we can't do those things anymore. So walking is probably a good thing. But like I tell my patients, if you want to be mindful of your joints, do non-weight bearing activity, swimming, riding a bike with good suspension on the bike, exercise bike at home. These are things that are non-weight bearing. But if you walk, that's weight bearing. There's this thing called gravity, Ken.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Heard about that. Sometimes it pulls on me. I don't know.
Keeps me grounded.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise we'd float, right?
That's right. What is the arthritis? This affects the hands too. Is the same kind of thing. My mom always had trouble with her hands. Is that the same kind of thing?
Yeah, osteoarthritis generally gets the distal, the far joints on the fingers, so the ones closest to your fingernails, and then rheumatoid arthritis gets your knuckles more commonly, but they can both affect all the joints. But you can pretty much tell when you see a patient with arthritis which one they have just by looking at their hands if they've had it for a while.
Yeah, it was the knuckles on her. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's good news. Great.
Yeah, and I think we've got a lot more coming down the pike. Now, by the way, did you hear DeSantis was baffled by a question? One of the reporters asked him if he would pardon Trump, and he said, if he's in prison, yeah, I'll pardon him. And he said, they asked him why, and he said, well, I think it will go a long way towards healing the country, just as Ford pardoning Nixon did back in the late 70s. Remember that?
Sure. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. Ford probably lost the election because of it.
Well, that, and I think everybody was just tired of the Republicans. The people's they're so fickle. Even my wife, some days she likes me, some days she doesn't. I don't know, Ken. What do I do wrong? Any rate, so then the reporter asked him, well, if you'd pardon Trump, would you pardon Biden's son? And he said, what are you talking about? No. He said, well, why not? Why, if you pardon Trump, he said, first of all, let's face it, Trump has not been convicted of anything. He's not even really been formally indicted of anything other than supposedly upping the value of real estate when he went to the bank. But it's a victimless crime, Ken.
Yes.
You have to have a victim when you have something like that. And all the banks are saying, we're not victims, and there's nothing to happen. Of course, that's going to be thrown out. That's unconstitutional. You can't do that. Well, I mean, you can, but you're just wasting time and money, the taxpayers' time and money, to take these things to trial. And Colorado's saying, well, he suborned rebellion and insurrection. He did not. I've read the whole speech that he gave on January 6th, and there was nothing in there that said, go take over the Capitol building. He said, let's march up peacefully to the Capitol building and try to give the senators who are on the line courage to do the right thing. That's
I think he used the term like give them heck or something like that, but he was just talking, make some noise so they can hear you. They know you're out there.
Yeah.
I don't think he never said go inside and tear the place apart. So,
and even that's not insurrection. Come on. No. There was no attempt to take over the country. There was no attempt to destroy the government. I mean, it's just a bunch of manic depressives went in there and ranted and raved and threw things around. Of course, if somebody else goes in there that's not a conservative and rants and raves and throws things around, that's okay if they're liberal. That's not insurrection. That's protest.
That's protecting the government, I guess.
Yes. So Joe Biden says that electing Trump will destroy democracy. Meanwhile, all these states are trying to keep him off the ballot. I thought democracy was when you got to vote for who you wanted.
Supposed to be.
Am I wrong? Did I miss something?
The way I remember it in school.
Now, you know, all this is going to be thrown out. And one of the district judges in Wyoming, somebody brought a suit to get Trump off the ballot. And he said, this is ridiculous. And he said, you can't do that. And he threw it out of court. So
I think the Supreme Court, of all the things he's dealing with right now, I think the Supreme Court will go along with him on all of them except one. I don't think they're going to give him blanket immunity from all crimes forever, which is essentially what I think that it means if they rule with him.
Well, I think they have to do this one at a time. So they're going to take up, I would think the first thing they would take up would be the state ballots, trying to keep Trump off of that. And there's just no constitutional basis for the states doing that. You can't say the guy was involved in an insurrection. I mean, he hadn't even been charged, much less found guilty of any crime of insurrection.
Right. I think the Supreme Court would definitely side with him on that.
Well, remember, Ken, the Senate tried this, and they found him not guilty of insurrection.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you want? You want to try this in every state again and again and again? How many times are you going to go through this? The Supreme Court will throw this out. It will not stand. And I think he's very confident because he's acting like nothing's going to stop him.
You can't do that to the front runner of any party.
You can, but I don't think you'll get anywhere.
Well, yeah, you can try, but it's not going to happen.
It's not going to work. No.
Right. So I don't think he's got anything to worry about there. Even though Illinois is now doing the same thing. They just tried to throw him off the ballot. And apparently in Illinois, they have something else that I just found out about yesterday. You have to sign a pledge if you run for president in Illinois that you will not take over the government.
Well, if you're the president, what are you not doing that? I mean,
I don't know.
Aren't you ahead of one of the major branches of government?
You are sort of taking over the government. You're taking over the responsibility of it. So,
and what does taking over the government entail? What is the actual definition? That you will make decrees that are law? Well, I mean,
I don't know.
You know that you can't do that. I mean, maybe in wartime, FDR could do that, but in peacetime, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. You got to get it through Congress.
Exactly.
I mean, even Joe's found that out. He tries to do this and that and this and that, and Congress says, that's not in your domain. They take it up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, you're right. This is the legislative branch's area, not executive.
I don't know. I don't think he's got any problems really on that one. Doc, we got about a minute left here. You want to talk about the business a bit?
Yeah, but first I want to get a small modular nuclear reactor at the office. So if anybody has any connections, let me know.
Yeah, if you got one in the garage, Doc's interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably fit it in your garage.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'm Dr. Bill, your radio MD. I'm also your doctor, your hometown doctor, and your international doctor. Hell, we take care of people from all over the world. And we're at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. And we do take Advantage plans. Remember that, Ken?
Yep.
And we are at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. We have a really nice clinic. You've been there. It's
gorgeous.
It's well equipped.
It is. You've got things there. I didn't even know what they were.
Even I don't know what some of these things are. But I use them every day.
About 10 seconds, Doc. Give the phone number.
727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. I am Dr. Bill, your radio MD.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Join Dr. Bill every Sunday morning at 9 for more insight, information, provocation, and fun. Dr. Bill Handelman practices in St. Petersburg, Florida at Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic, 6399 38th Avenue North. For your convenience, telemedicine appointments are available. Call his office today at 727-384-6411. That's 727-384-6411. Or visit his website at cancareclinic.com.